President spoke in the Rose Garden just a few minutes ago. I think the administration was trying to do two things. One was to reset their message, which many people had found lacking over the last several days. I don't think that that was particularly effective. The president was once again sort of faltering and unfocused. But the other was to communicate that they were going to be working with business leaders. They wanted to time this for the end of trading today. We were seeing the stock market rise right now. I think, at least for the moment, that seems to have been successful.
No NBA, no NHL, the US Masters has been cancelled. We are in uncharted waters in sport and in life. We mentioned there the Democratic race. How do they all now recalibrate their message? Because this is taking over everything.
Well, it's been interesting to watch. I think as many Americans have seen a sort of vacuum of leadership, both Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden have spent the last few days trying to communicate that they're in charge. They're trying to show Americans what it would look like if they were leaving the country. Sanders, of course, has used this moment to call for increasing the social safety net, while Biden has done a number of events where he's shown the sort of calm and resolve that he wants voters to think that he represents.
The first state to postpone a primary is Louisiana. It's been postponed from April to September. Getting back to Super Tuesday ×2, it's certainly, well, it's been a dramatic swing, hasn't it, this whole campaign? Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, where we're at now, I think, we'll see if coronavirus changes the race and that it's essentially stopped. There's no campaigning at all. What we are seeing is happening online. The debate that was happening on Sunday in Arizona was just moved to Washington, D.C. Joe Biden, retains a commanding lead. Sanders, I think, is in it he's not in it to win it necessarily anymore. He's in it to pressure the party to adopt some of his policy positions. He's in it to help boost down ballot races, particularly, for sort of the candidates who are like himself running in states like Pennsylvania and New York who haven't run yet.
Look, a lot of people are making judgment calls on how every nation is handling this. We are in such unprecedented times, plenty of criticism of the US government as well. Is there a school of thought that a unique opportunity for the Democrats, one of the Democrats, to pop up as a steady hand?
I think that that's the way that certainly both Democratic candidates are seeing this moment. We've had a number of crises like this where people have predicted the imminent end of Trump's presidency, that Americans would sort of finally wake up to the sort of daily incompetence, the governing by tweet. I don't necessarily think that that will happen right now, but there's no denying that the lack of steady leadership from the White House is a tremendous opportunity for Democrats to show that they can return a sense of normalcy to the country and possibly, significant change and betterment as well.
And it's interesting with Elizabeth Warren as well, whether she's going to back Joe Biden or Bernie Sanders. That's certainly one to watch, but pretty much put on hold. Let's talk about the major impact of the economy, though, because obviously it is affecting people's health, but a huge impact on the economy. The Dow and the S&P experienced their worst drop yesterday since Black Monday.
Yeah, well, I think the next step now is going to be what the U.S. government can put together. I mean, we're seeing some steadying effects from, again, this press conference, which I think will be short term. Congress is working on a package now, but Republicans and Democrats are very far away on what they think a stimulus package should look like. Republicans want corporate tax cuts, a payroll tax. Democrats are more focused on giving help to individuals. Small businesses are going to be hit very, very hardly, even if very, very hard, even if we're able to sort of skate through this. But right now I'm not seeing a ton of movement from Congress, although they still have a few days to get something together.
Over the years, I've had the unique opportunity to spend a lot of time in America covering sport, and there is a real link between America and Australia when it comes to the love of sport. There must be a real glum look on many people's faces with no NBA, no NHL, the tennis off for 6 weeks, the PGA Tour basically cancelled for the time being, including the iconic US Masters, as we mentioned before, which goes ahead, or usually goes ahead, in April.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching old NBA games from the 1980s on YouTube right now, so I think a lot of people are looking for something to fill that void. But one thing that was interesting that happened when the NBA canceled or suspended its season, that happened at the same time as when Donald Trump was speaking, and yet it was the sort of suspension of the NBA season think along with the revelation that Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson had coronavirus, that made people wake up to what was happening, not the president's remarks.
And also places like Disneyland being shut down, Broadway, a lot of the schools as well. I mean, you've got to look at the ramifications and the flow-on effect of the tickets, everybody being refunded, the part-time workers, the performers. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, and it's also a very strange problem to have to deal with from a fiscal stimulus level, because what we're dealing with right now is that people are not able to go out and spend money. Usually, the way that you respond to economic downturn is you try to inject money into the economy in various ways. But right now, people can't do that. They're stuck at home. I've been here for almost 24 hours now, and I don't necessarily know that anyone who's sort of looking at how to fix this has quite grasped the enormity of that problem, that as long as people are stuck at home, there's very little that we can do.
Yeah, has there been much panic buying? Because the mixed messaging has certainly created some ridiculous scenes here in Australia.
Yeah, I think that, like just about everything else, we've been slow to sort of respond to coronavirus, and panic buying here only started over the last couple days. I certainly saw videos from Australia, a week or more ago. But today, I've been texting with people who are out, and there are, bare grocery store shelves, which is something that, I can certainly not remember seeing in my lifetime in America.